But I tell you what, I'd definitely fucking knock him out. I'll take 4, 100%.
All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, Fabian Larrabia, classic physique pro, is calling out Logan Franklin again. So some of you guys may remember, maybe you don't, that Fabian and Logan had a couple different back and forths before the Arnold last year and also before that Shaun Ray Hawaiian Classic that Logan won to qualify for the 2022 Olympia. So they had a little back and forth on social media. I actually talked to Logan about this, and Logan says he really doesn't know necessarily why Fabian has picked Logan as his target. Fabian is a pro, and he has qualified for the Olympia, but he's never actually competed in a show that Logan was in, so I'm not really too sure why he keeps singling out Logan Franklin. But he posted this on his story, and I reposted it on mine because he tagged me in it. Not because I co-sign it. You guys know Logan is my boy. But he says, Logan Franklin, $60,000. When you want, we compete, and we bet it. He tags me, he tags Buys and Tries, and he tags Bodybuilders Without Borders. And he also shows off his latest physique update. So before I made this video, I was talking to Logan. I asked him, what's his response? What's the statement that he wants to put out there in response to this story? And he said, no response needed. He doesn't think that Fabian even has the $60,000 to put up, or if he did have it, that he would actually put it on the line if he competed against Logan. Now, my understanding is that Fabian recently moved to the United States, and he's looking to do a pro show in classic physique in the United States before the Olympia this year. I don't think Logan is planning on competing before the Olympia. He doesn't have any reason to. He's already qualified. There would really be no point in him competing before the Olympia because he could use that time as an off-season to improve. But my advice to Fabian would be, if you want to pursue this, take the Jake Paul approach. Put up some kind of proof of funds on social media where you can prove to Logan Franklin that you've got the money and that you're willing to put it up. And then maybe he'd be willing to, because let's be honest, $60,000 is a big payday, especially in classic physique. That's like winning the Arnold Classic. I think that's more than what the Olympia paid. So if you can put up proof of funds, maybe I can talk Logan into doing this. But for now, I agree with Logan. Unless that you can put up the proof of funds, it'd be kind of risky for Logan to assume that you have the money and would be willing to put it up. Now, next up in the news, we have a physique update from 212, Mr. Olympia. 2020 212 Olympia, because obviously this past Olympia, Derek Lunsford won. Shaun Clarida posting a physique update, a series of physique updates. With the caption, growing season, he says he's 210 pounds right now and going. I believe he was in the 180s at the Olympia. And in the past, he's competed even lower than that. Even though the weight limit is 212 pounds, that's the max. Shaun has competed, I think, even as low as 170s or 160s. But the reason why I find this caption interesting is because Shaun is qualified for both the 212 Olympia and the Men's Open Olympia, and he has not announced yet which category he will be pursuing. So the interesting part of that is that 210 pounds is heavy for him, which could suggest he's trying to push the size for Men's Open bodybuilding, but also it would still fall under the weight limit of 212. So he still hasn't made up his mind, but he's still keeping the fans guessing because he's still pushing his weight much higher than he would be competing at. I've always liked the comparison that people have made with Shaun, calling him a miniature Ronnie Coleman. I believe Shaun is 5'1" or 5'2". He's pretty close to 5 foot. But on the small frame that he's got, he does have a pretty significant amount of size. He's filled out his small frame pretty well. And that's why he's able to still do well in Men's Open bodybuilding. Keep in mind, the impressive part about him winning that Legion Sports Festival to qualify for the Open Olympia was he beat guys that were 100 pounds heavier than him in that show. So what's there to suggest that he can't beat most of the guys in the Men's Open Olympia lineup that all weigh about 100 pounds heavier than him? I'll be honest, that's what I want to see happen. I want to see Shaun do Open and not do 212. I want to see a wild card in the Open Olympia. I think Derek Lunsford working with Hani Rambod, I think that's the dream team, and I think Derek will continue to win 212 as long as he chooses to stay in that division. I think Derek, this is a whole nother topic for a whole nother video, but I think there's a very high likelihood that Derek will also pursue a men's open bodybuilding career. But as long as Derek is in 212, and I think as long as he's with Hani Rambod, I think he will continue to win that Olympia. So why not? Why not Shaun Clarida jump in that men's open lineup and see where he lands? Now, next up in the news, more bodybuilding news, Rafael Brandao training with Flex Lewis 5 weeks out from the Arnold Classic South America, a.k.a. the Arnold Classic Brazil. Now, Rafael is in the top tier of IFBB pros. He's already qualified for the 2022 Mr. Olympia, so he does not need to win the Brazil show to get there. He already won in Romania. And he was actually scheduled to compete in the Arnold Classic Ohio, where I actually think he would have done really well, considering several guys in that lineup, towards the top of that lineup, I think came in off. I think Rafael, had he been on and had he competed in the Arnold Ohio, I think he would have a top 6 finish there. Now, I think in all likelihood, Rafael is going to go on to win the Arnold Classic Brazil, and he's going to go straight into the Olympia off of 2 pro wins, one of them being an Arnold Classic title, just not the Arnold Classic Ohio title. Now, I really wish we would have got to see him in that Arnold lineup in Ohio, because we really haven't gotten to see Rafael in a lineup with the elite caliber guys, like top 6 Olympia caliber guys. We haven't seen him, what he looks like, next to that level of competitor. And I have a feeling that we're not going to see that in Brazil either. I think it's going to be kind of that mid-tier IFBB show. In fact, Rafael might be the only top or even qualified Olympia-level competitor doing that show. But he looks good in these clips here to me with Flex Lewis at 5 weeks out, and the thing that has always stood out about his physique to me is that he brings something different. He's an aesthetic guy. He's not a mass monster. He's not a freak, but his posing is always great, and his aesthetics and lines are always on point. His conditioning is usually good. But I'll keep you guys updated as the updated lineup comes out for that, the lineup for the New York Pro, which is in May, the lineup for the Indy Pro. We've got a lot of really big shows coming up over the next couple of months that are really important Olympia qualifiers. And those competitor lists are going to be coming out soon, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay tuned, because we're going to have a lot of bodybuilding contests to cover in the very, very near future. Now, next up in the news, let's get back to some big man boxing stories. Hafthor, Bjornsson, Martyn Ford, Eddie Hall, all that good stuff, this next story. First of all, just want to update you guys, Eddie Hall has still not posted anything. He has not acknowledged the bet with Hafthor, the bet with Larry, the tattoo, the $10,000, or the $200,000 to charity. I think maybe we should post a reminder every day until Eddie does post a public statement acknowledging these bets. We don't want him to forget. They were his idea after all. Now, that being said, Thor still has to announce which charity he wants Eddie to donate to. So to be fair, we can't really expect Eddie to have already donated to a charity that he doesn't even know which charity is going to be getting the donation yet. So in Eddie's defense, there is that. Hafthor has not made the public announcement yet. He says he will publicly announce it on his social media when he picks a charity. So that part we can wait for. Now, the $10,000 to Larry, which was Eddie's idea, I don't see any reason why he should be waiting to give Larry that money. And the tattoo of Hafthor's name, well, I guess we can give him some time on that. But just the fact that Larry and Thor have both made a public statement about the bets, I would think by now, at the very least, Eddie would have made a public statement saying, yes, I'm a man of my word. I will follow through with the bets. He doesn't have to do it necessarily the day that he acknowledges it, but just to acknowledge that, yes, he lost, he knows that the bets existed, and he will honor them. Now, that being said, Hafthor won the fight, and Martyn Ford, who was there at the fight, Team Eddie, he was very much against Hafthor, saying Hafthor wouldn't win, saying he was too soft to win, and Martyn Ford has a fight of his own coming up against the Iranian Hawk, which, in my opinion, is completely fabricated. I don't think there's a real storyline there. I think the beef there is fake. And I think here's my big theory. I think the theory here, or my theory is, the next fight that I think they're building up is going to be Hafthor versus Martyn Ford. But Martyn hasn't had a boxing match yet. So he needs to box somebody. Even if it is this internet meme, the Iranian Hulk. So look, honestly, I think Martyn is going to run through this guy. If the fight even happens, I think he's going to demolish this guy. And even though the Hulk guy is a meme at this point, it's going to make Martyn look good going into a potential rivalry / fight with Hafthor. And I really do think that's what they're building up to here. Now, Martyn was quoted after the Eddie Hall fight. He says, "I'm just gutted for Eddie as a friend. But I'll tell you what, I'll definitely effing knock him out. I'd take Thor 100%. In my eyes, technically he's good. He's been coached well. But I'd take Thor 100%. I don't know if I'd knock him out, but I'd win. I'd back myself 100%. So he had strong words for Thor prior to the fight, strong words for Thor after the fight. He himself has a boxing match next month, April 30th. Now, I could be wrong, but I almost think at this point, after seeing how Eddie performed with his fight against Thor, I think more people would rather see Hafthor versus Martyn Ford than they would see a rematch between Hafthor and Eddie. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you have not subscribed yet already. As always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick, Strength, and Power, signing out.